It's honestly just amazing. It really is just amazing that every single time I think that we're at the lowest point and the worst point, it's just something else drops about this team that makes me feel 1,000 times worse than I already do. But what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here on Rangers Central. And I'm sorry for this going up late. I'm sorry for even doing all this late. I've been busy all day, so I decided, you know what? I'm going to just do a late night upload because I don't want to risk also scheduling the upload to where something might happen tomorrow morning. But with this organization, they're just letting the house burn down anyway, that it seems like nothing's going to happen, so maybe I could schedule it. But just in case, I'm going to upload this late at night, so I apologize for anyone that, you know, is looking for a morning type video. But either way, we're going to roll with it. The video's here for you to watch whenever, because we have a little bit of an update of what's going on inside the organization, and it's just catastrophic. It blows my mind still that we were sitting in this spot 5 years ago, 6 years ago, looking at the pieces coming through and saying, man, this team, we were talking, forget just one Stanley Cup, we were talking dynasty with this team, like talking 2 to 3 Stanley Cups in the span of maybe, 5 to 10 years. That's what we were talking about for how dominant this team was supposed to be. You look at guys like, Kakko, Lafreniere, they get 1st and 2nd overall. Kravtsov, 9th overall. Elias Anderson, 7th, with Keandre Miller, Niels Lundqvist being late first-round picks. Braden Schneider in that fold. But you look at the pieces that they get, Phil Pedal, too. You look at all these pieces that they acquired. And you're like, man, you infuse that with this veteran talent that they have? No doubt. No doubt this team is going to be dominant. And now 5 years later, we're talking rebuild. It's ugly. And I never in a billion years thought it would get this ugly this quickly. I said all offseason that I believe that there was dysfunction going on. And everyone's like, how could you say dysfunction? The truest stuff, it is what it is, but that's not dysfunction. If you take a harder whiff at what was coming out of the front office with the stench, you would know this is dysfunction. I did not think it would get to this level, like I said, but it's bad. It really, really is bad. And the reason that we're here discussing this today, because, what's new, really, right? A podcast episode, the Steve Dangle podcast, and I know people are going to immediately click off and say, well, what does he know? He's just a dude that makes videos in his basement about the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm not saying you have to take everything at face value, what he is saying is going on here, but it is worth taking a look at, because he is someone that, let's face it, he has come up the scene. He has people that he knows that has inside ties, and you could say it's a little weird that no one else got the scoop before Steve Dangle did, of all people, and I would tend to agree with that. But I also do think there is the fact that, Larry Brooks is kind of someone that is going to keep things a little bit closer to the vest, because he is closer to the Rangers organization in that regard, and he doesn't want to, entirely lose his relationship with the front office. But you would also say, why didn't like Chris Johnston, who's also associated with Steve Dangle's podcast network, why didn't he say anything? I don't know. All I know is that I believe some of this because of what we're looking at on the ice. To me, the actions back up that these claims are true. What are the claims? So, Steve Dangle, and this is from @BallPanarin, who does a great job dissecting all the podcasts, article quotes, nitpicking all those, or grabbing all those, putting them on Twitter for us to read and react to without having to read everything. So give him a follow. But the tweet here is that there was a players-only meeting. This is what Steve Dangle said. There was a players-only meeting, and it was not to discuss Peter Laviolette. That relationship is fine. Their main gripe is Chris Drury. They want him to either change his ways or be gone. And this is what Steve Dangle also mentioned. Trouba's post-trade comments spoke for the entire room. He expects a Kakko trade soon. Players were mad, Trouba and Goudreau, but were furious over Kreider's name being out there. He wonders how the players get this message all the way up to Dolan. My blood's boiling. I don't know what is worse. The fact, and I tweeted this, and this is just true, I really don't know what's worse. The fact that the players are actively protesting their boss, and blowing a hissy fit for moving guys and changing things when this group has been around for a good amount of years now. They're blowing a hissy fit at their boss, who, by the way, the reason Chris Drury allegedly didn't go all in last year, and this is what he told us, by the way, this is what he told the media and told the fans. He didn't go all in at the deadline because he wanted to show this group he has faith in them to get it done. And now they're turning around, and because he's moving a couple guys, and because they didn't go out and back up what he wanted them to do, now they're turning their backs and want him gone because of a couple of cutthroat moves. Imagine working your 9 to 5 and you and your coworkers are like, you know what? We're just going to, take our foot off the gas, not worry about working, and we're just going to protest because we don't like our boss. Your ass is canned immediately. And this is where I have my issues with Chris Drury. Why is he letting the house burn down? Why is he not addressing the media and fans ever? And it's just, again, why is it that there's no accountability from him at all? And why is it that if they are protesting this, why was Igor allowed to get the 8-year extension? This is pathetic. This is like another level of gross dysfunction, vomit-worthy, eyeball bleeding-worthy stuff. This is just, it's a train wreck right now. It really is a dumpster fire. And I don't know where you go because the players are protesting, and shame on them, by the way, because, and especially a guy like Adam Fox, who played or grew up rooting for this team. Don't you want to at least give some sort of effort on a nightly basis despite your boss being an asshole, which you don't have to love your boss, but go out there and do your job. I know plenty of people in life who work their jobs, hate their boss. But you know what? They show up to work, put their all in, make their money, and then go home. But these multimillionaires are showing up to work and not giving it their all to try to send a message to all the way to the top to get their boss fired. Like the boss above the boss they're sending the message to get Chris Drury fired. That's a shame. That is embarrassing. This is embarrassing on every angle. The fact that management's not doing anything about this and stepping into the degree they need to. The fact that, I don't understand how Dolan has not stepped in at all, considering he's someone that looks at the cold results above anything. You would think 3-10 in the last 13 would have got somebody canned, but maybe there's something with him and Drury, and if that's the case, there's a bigger issue here. If they have a very close relationship to the point where Drury's not going to get moved. Because both things are true. You need to move on from the GM and these players that are cowards and continue to do this crap. This is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen this in the history of sports like that I could remember. Like, you can maybe point to a player where, they want out and they're not giving it. They're all like Pierre-Luc Dubois a couple of years ago in Columbus where he was half-assing it on the ice, or you could, look at a couple of guys where like the head coach and the player clash heads, like a Marian Gaborik type, or you could talk about football where guys sit out because they're not being paid as much as they would like. I've seen that before. I've never collectively seen a group of men collecting millions to play hockey or just a sport in general unite to not give it their all because they want their boss gone. You don't have the right group here to win. If they can't handle some guys getting moved, they're sure as fuck not winning 16 games when it matters the most. I don't care what they did in 2022. Do not care what they did last year making it to the conference finals. Hang the banner for all I care. You're not winning 16 with this group. There is no way. If this is what they're going to do, and this is how they're going to behave, like prima donna bitches, then they could get lost. And none of them should be wearing a Rangers sweater. Or at least most of them. Because I don't want to include, obviously, everyone, every player in this conversation. Because there are players that I don't feel this way about. But it's mostly the leaders, the veterans, the guys that have been here, and a few younger guys, but it's mostly the veterans that I'm ticked off with, where it's like, this is how you're handling this situation. That's sad. That's really, really weak and sad. And how is Chris Drury not speaking to the media right now? He never does to begin with, and it's been one of my issues with him in general. Where is he right now? You have a house burning down, and you're just putting the Band-Aid on. Hey, Igor, your deal. I don't have to speak to the media. He's got to get to the podium and answer some questions, because there is a lot that needs to be addressed here. And if it were up to me, he would be gone yesterday. And these players would be, sure as hell, would be gone yesterday. It blows my mind that we are even here. And the Trouba post-trade comment, the fact that he was speaking for the room is just also ridiculous. Like, the fact that they wanted Jacob Trouba to have a platform on ESPN and, speaking during the intermission, all that stuff, just to speak for the guys in the room. What are we doing here? Like, what are we, fucking 5? Going on social media and doing all this crap? Going on national television, nonetheless, and doing all this? How old are we here? That we need Jacob Trouba to speak for us. That's some next level cowardly shit. The Kakko thing, I mean, I'm not shocked there. I expect him to be moved sometime soon. I don't know when. I don't have inside source for that. I expect this to happen, though, because it's kind of just lining up to be that way. He's got scratched against St. Louis, and the writing's just been on the wall. And again, still not a fan of the fact that they didn't want to move him last year to get key assets at the deadline, but what's done is done, and I guess get what you could get for him now. And then the players being mad about Trouba and Gaudreau, furious over Kreider. I get that you're mad for your friend, but you got your own business to take care of, man. And if anything, if you're furious over that, wouldn't you want to go out there and play with hunger and a sack? Like, I could tell you right now, if all of this was going on and I was inside that dressing room, I'm punching holes in the wall in the locker room to fire the guys up And I'm going out there and giving it 110%, 100 million, 100,000, whatever you want to say. I'm giving it my all, going balls to the wall. If you care about him so much as a friend and a teammate, then wouldn't you want to go out there and prevent these trade rumors from happening instead of protesting because you're not getting the toy that you want in the toy store? Like, that's the comparable of this. They're children that aren't getting their way, and they're whining and upset about it. This is the most unlikable group of athletes I've seen for any of my favorite teams in my life. I watched Robo Guerra play defense for this team. I watched Ryan Sproul play defense for his team. I watched Vlad Nemestikov go out there and play on the first line. I watched Ryan Spooner get quality reps. There are fans that watch the Dark Ages. But I can tell you right now, me and the fans that watch the Dark Ages could tell you right now, this is worse right now. This is setting up to be worse than that. And they gave the goalie an 8-year deal. So what do you do? That's the question I keep asking, the $1 million question. You have to go all in. And you're going to rebuild with your new goalie signed to an 8-year deal at 11.5. You're never going to be bad enough to get a good pick. And you're also you're going to waste prime years of his career. So what is it going to be? Are they going to blow this whole thing up to smithereens like they should, including moving Igor? And I don't care. It's true. They should be moving him before that full no move clause kicks in, because the entire thing needs to go. If this is where we're at, where players are blowing hissy fits to this degree, then that's wraps. That's all you need to know. The proof is in the pudding. You don't need to hear more. These guys aren't winning 16 playoff games. There's no need to continue to run it back. No need to try and tinker around this group. No, done. Absolutely done. You hit the nuke button on this group. If all this is from Steve Dangle, I'm saying, if all this is true, which again, judging by the actions on the ice, I believe it. And this is probably why we're not seeing Laviolette go. Every time I'm like, this is the last game, But then we're also seeing reports that, they're not really talking to any other coaches, and I'm like, that's weird. But it makes sense. They like Laviolette. They hate Chris Drury. It all makes sense. It looks that way. And it's a shame that Laviolette could only do so much right now. I mean, there's really nothing he can do at all. He's stuck in the middle here because he's probably playing both sides. He probably understands where the players are coming from to some degree, although hopefully not for those reasons, because Drury's a moron, but not for the reasons they're saying. But he's probably right now on both ends of the rope. He's probably the rope in the middle, and he's getting pulled by Drury because he doesn't want to lose his job, and he's getting pulled by the players because he doesn't want to lose the room. And I feel terrible that he's in this position right now. If I was him, I would be resigning yesterday, today, whenever. I would have resigned a long time ago. Because if this group is going to quit, and if I'm on the verge of getting fired because these guys are quitting on my boss, forget it. I'm not even bothering. Because what is he going to do? Put the pads on and go out there? Unbelievable. And if all this is true, like I said, to finish that point, you have your answer, and this group isn't it. Just be done with it. Rip the Band-Aid off. Trade every single player that's possible. Get some draft capital. Get some prospects. And start to build up a strong farm system. Sign a couple free agents that you might be intrigued about. Some veteran guys, not overpaying for them preferably, because This team doesn't learn their lesson. I was going to say hopefully they did, but they gave the goalie 8 years. So that already showed me they didn't learn their lesson. But all I know is that do that. Do that because this is over. This whole thing is over. I don't care to see more. And I can tell you right now that, and I've said it before, but I am mentioning it again. If this upcoming offseason, nothing changes and Drury's still here, guys from this core are still here, and they just tinker around the roster, I could tell you right now, I'm not doing this next year. I'm not coming on this platform. I'm not making videos. I'm not live streaming next year. Do not care that I'm getting paid. And I appreciate you guys who do make it easier to cover this team. But it's more the fact that I do not want to watch this team on a nightly basis. Maybe I'll pop in here and there, but I'm not committing to doing every single game next year at the very least. Because I'm not dealing with this crap. We're not even 35 games in, and I'm over this. I'm not bothering next year if this is what it's going to be. Because I'm wasting my time. I could be doing so many better things right now with my life. But instead, I'm watching every game. I'm turning off football, turning off basketball to watch this product. So I could please the audience here. And the best part of the games, the best part of my nights, I should say, is coming on here and doing it for you guys. Because without you guys, I'd be pulling hair out, pulling my eyeballs out, and going insane. But I do this because I love you guys, and I appreciate all of you. I'm going to end it there. Let me know your thoughts on this entire dumpster fire mess, whatever you want to call it. And by the way, I will say this. If anyone has tickets to games, sell them. I think it's time that we take a stand as fans and we protest this garbage. I know that it's not going to do much because of the corporate fans, the suit fans. It's worth a shot, though. If the players aren't going to show up for us, we're not going to show up for them. And we're not going to show up for this general manager who's a pushover. So, as fans, don't spend your money on the product. Don't spend money on jerseys. Don't spend money on tickets. Don't spend money on any of that. Anything Rangers related. Don't spend money on it. Road games, go ahead. Because you're giving money to a different organization and you're at least seeing another city. But home games? No. Place is a library to begin with. Might as well have the stands be empty. So don't show up. I'm pissed. I'll see you guys in the next one.